But welcome everyone to Healthathon 2020. Good afternoon. My name is Ariman Veer. I'm a volunteer with the iSPIRT Foundation, and I'm one of the organizers of this event. I'm extremely proud and excited to welcome you all here. It's something we've been looking forward to for a very long time, and I'm delighted to reveal to you all that we had over 700 applications to participate in this event in the two competitions, which I'll be speaking more about in a moment. And the applicants came from all kinds of backgrounds, from students to seasoned professionals from healthcare, tech, and finance, venture capital. So, we're really proud and inspired by the diversity and talent pool of this of the applicants, and we're sure that this event is going to be amazing. So before I get started introducing the event and kind of what this is all about, I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Our two principal sponsors are Matrix Partners India and the Swasth Alliance. Our knowledge partners for this event are Chime India, which is an organization of CIOs of various hospitals, and HIMSS India chapter, which is a coalition of hospital information management system companies. DevFolio is our organization partner who's helped us so much in this hackathon and in others. And AirMeet is the platform which we're all on right now. So without these folks, this event would not happen. So thank you so much to all of our sponsors and partners. So because some of you may not know about iSPIRT, I'd like to take a brief moment to just describe what iSPIRT is and what we do. We are a non-profit technology think and do tank. We try to solve some of India's hardest problems, such as healthcare inclusion, financial inclusion, and logistics. Our approach to solving these problems is based on creating public digital infrastructure. So we have a very long-term view, and we believe that India needs to get creative in order to make advances much faster than we would ordinarily. And that's because we lack some of the physical infrastructure and capital that developed economies do. And while they can rely on those things to kind of grow, we need to be creative and bootstrap our growth, if you will. Because technology is such a great equalizer, we believe that by getting creative through the use of technology, in particular building these public digital rails, we can really accelerate the rate at which we move ahead in various fields like healthcare and finance. So we are a non-profit organization run completely by volunteers. And we believe that in order to build this public digital infrastructure, you need to get an all of society effort, which means that the public sector can't do it alone and the private sector can't do it alone. We need everybody here together to make things work. So coming to the event at hand, this is being organized to drive awareness, education, and engagement around one component of what we call the National Health Stack, which is one of our ideas for health infrastructure. This has been in the works for a long time, and finally all of the hard work is paying off as we move closer to a launch of the National Health Stack, and in particular, the personal health records component. So the ideas behind the National Health Stack are being expressed now as a project known as NDHM, or the National Digital Health Mission, which is blessed by the Prime Minister, Ministry of Health, and National Health Authority, who are taking it forward. So many thanks and congratulations to the government and all the other stakeholders in this project on their amazing work. In a nutshell, the PHR system allows users to discover, link, and share their medical records across different care providers in an easy, secure, interoperable, and consentful manner, so that their medical data is where it needs to be, when it needs to be there, so that they can get maximum utility from that data. For example, by offering the most context to a clinician or a doctor who's looking at a patient. So you'll learn all about the PHR and the wider NHS very soon, because we've arranged a number of talks for you in the next month while this event goes on. This event runs until the 22nd of November, and every weekend, except for Diwali weekend, we have some masterclasses, panel discussions, and networking sessions lined up for you, in which you'll be able to hear people from the industry speak about various different topics. We have some very exciting ones for you today, which we'll also come to. But what we also have in addition to the events are two competitions, an Ideathon and a Hackathon. In the Ideathon, teams of 2 to 6 people will come up with business ideas for companies or products that could be built leveraging this new public digital health infrastructure. No coding is required in the Ideathon. Teams will just submit a screen grab of themselves walking through a presentation or a deck, and they'll be judged at the end of that by judges on the basis of their originality, viability, and a few other criteria, which we'll be sure to inform you about going forward. The hackathon is similar, except teams will actually build working projects on top of the PHR APIs provided by the NDHM team in their sandbox. And we are very excited to see the fruits of both of these competitions, Hackathon and Ideathon. There's 4 lakhs worth of prize money available for teams that perform well in these competitions, and we're sure that it's going to be very difficult to choose winners because I've seen the quality of applications and they're extremely high. Just one thing you should know is that this is not, I would say, what you call a traditional hackathon, in the sense that this is not an event in which there's a very narrowly defined problem statement and one particular data set and everything is kind of served to you on a plate. This is actually a live project which the government is attempting to take live to production, and it's being worked on and rolled out now. So that means that it's a living, breathing, live thing. It requires you to be resourceful. This is real life national infrastructure for India. So you need to really pull your sleeves up, get into it, understand it, be resourceful, be inquisitive, and make things work on your own. So it's sort of like the real world out there, and I'm sure it'll be extremely enriching and fulfilling for teams that build on top of this real world infrastructure. So before we get into the first event of the day, which is a keynote address by a very special guest, I would like to just do some housekeeping. So you guys are all on AirMeet right now. That's great. We have more sessions today until 6 p.m. and tomorrow from 3 till 6 p.m. again. All of the sessions and calendar, for what's going to take place will be posted on the iSPIRT Twitter account. Please follow that, as well as on the Slack channel, which you should have received an invitation to if you signed up for any of these competitions, as well as the Hack Bible. I'll post a link to the Hack Bible in the chat later on. So please make sure that you are, signed up to the Slack, following iSPIRT on Twitter, and that you've seen the Hack Bible. Also, if you RSVP on DevFolio, we can actually accept you into the competitions, but we can speak a little bit about that later. Now I'd like to, without any further ado, introduce our keynote speaker, Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. We are extremely excited and grateful that she's joining us here to talk about the national health infrastructure of India. Kiran Mazumdar Shaw is one of the most inspiring entrepreneurs in the world, in my opinion. Many of you may not know, but she actually began her career as a trainee brewmaster. And she quickly decided that, it was interesting for her how different enzymes and chemicals were used to create beer. But from there, she expanded into several different fields and created Biocon, which is now a 50,000 crore market cap company that's a world leader in biopharmaceuticals. In addition to her pioneering work with Biocon, which has, landed her a Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan from the government, as well as several other civilian awards from a variety of governments and national bodies. She's also done pioneering work in healthcare through her compassionate capitalism projects. She's done a variety of non-profit efforts as well as for-profit sustainable efforts aiming to raise awareness and screening for diseases like cancer. So given her extensive experience in this field and her vast knowledge of public health and biopharmaceuticals, and her position as one of the most iconic entrepreneurs in this country, we are extremely proud to welcome Kiran, who will be speaking in just a moment about her view around this ecosystem. So just hello. So Kiran, thank you so much for being here with us. It's an honor and a privilege. Everyone, please can we have a very warm round of virtual applause for Kiran. Thank you so much once again, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Aryaman. That was a very kind introduction, and I can't tell you how delighted I am to be a part of Healthathon 2020. I think this is a very exciting format, and I really believe it is such a timely event at this stage of our lives, because we've been thrown into the virtual world. We are, whether we like it or not, forced to think about a digital world, about using data and digital technologies with which we can actually look at various aspects of our lives. And I think healthcare is certainly one of them. The way I look at it is that, look, we've been talking about universal healthcare for a long time. We've been talking about the fact that India is underinvested in healthcare, and that we don't have enough resources to really meet these daunting challenges that we have in a country like ours, where we are so short of doctors. We are short of 1 million doctors, 2 million nurses, and another million paramedics, and so on and so forth. So I think, we've always talked about bridging these deficits with technology, but the big question is how. And I think now is the time for us to seriously think about how do we deliver access and affordable healthcare for every citizen in our country. Now, I think Healthathon can really come up with some really cool ideas. And I really look forward to the prize winners. And also, not just the prize winners, but those that come up with all these wonderful new ideas, which can actually generate a number of entrepreneurial possibilities. So let me start with this whole aspect of, a digital healthcare system. It all starts with data. And as you know, unorganized data is absolutely useless. So we need to structure it, we need to analyze it, and we need to interpret it for it to become valuable knowledge. And that's where we start with that health ID. That's the first kind of a digital, data point that we need to start a database. And what is that health ID? That health ID is a number and a docket in which you will collect all the digital data throughout your life's journey. That's the intention, that all your health data can be collected in this one digital wallet, if you were, of health. Now, of course, and when you think about the National Digital Health Mission, which is now going to be a game changer for the way we look at delivering healthcare, I think the National Digital Health Mission is going to look at multiple aspects of healthcare. One is it starts with the health ID, and I'm really pleased to note that over a lakh of people have already created their own health IDs. But then it also requires this health ID to be capturing data and then sharing that data with consent. And that's what this health stack is all about. We very, very effectively delivered financial digital inclusion through a digital financial stack, which has created the unified payment interface, which allows you to basically, have a digital wallet, which allows you to freely interface with various payment mechanisms. And the concept is very much the same. How do we create a health interface? How do we create that platform where health data can be shared with various stakeholders? So the first stakeholder is the patient or the citizen himself or herself. And if it's my data, I want to own that data. And then I want to be in a position to share that data with who and when I please. And therefore, since we already have a data system of financial data sharing, which really works on the OTP mechanism, we should actually use a lot of these kind of interfaces, which people are getting used to and which people find it easy to do. So I think consent-based health data sharing is going to be very important. And why is health data sharing important? Because it is interoperable. It can be accessed by multiple people who need to see that data. So whether it's your treating doctor, whether it's your consulting doctor, whether it's a referral doctor, your data becomes omnipresent in that sense. Today, we have to physically take all our data file, the files of our, diagnostic data, our health records. We take it physically from doctor to doctor, from hospital to hospital. All that can stop. It can all be on a cloud, and a doctor or anyone from anywhere can actually access it, provided you give consent. So this is the first starting point of creating that digital architecture for health. But then, when you think about the National Digital Health Mission, I think there are 5 key pillars of which we have to look at. And every one of them has a technology element to it. The first is, of course, about how are we going to finance all of this? So the financing model is going to be extremely important in terms of delivering on affordable healthcare. And there are various ways of working on these financing models. And that will require, again, a technology interface with your national digital database. The second thing is about the governance. Today there is a lot of concerns around abuse and overuse of medical systems and medical treatments, and we need to have a governance mechanism that can actually regulate all of that. Now, the governance mechanism is very important when it comes to data because, as I said, there is data privacy issues, there is data sharing with consent issues. There is also this whole issue about how do you deal with the private sector and the public sector and how they deal with patient care and how they deal with the financial, reimbursements and expectations from patients. So I think that also requires a digital, sort of governance mechanism to make sure there isn't all this happening. Even today, we are very, very concerned about the amount of leakage that happens in healthcare systems in the government. And because of the digital backbone, you can make that very transparent and extremely accountable. So I think that's the next aspect. The third aspect is human resource. We need to really look at how are we going to deal with human resource. Telemedicine, telehealth, all this can actually come into effect with technology. And then, of course, you've got the whole citizens engagement aspect, which is about how do you connect with the citizen? How do you create the pull from citizens for a technology? And to put this into perspective, I thought I'd use an analogy of vaccination. I mean, today we're all so focused on the